Need to wait for the gallery. Anyone's coming back.
Okay. In the confidential session of council resolved the following in relation to report PE 38/2023. One, that council notes A, receipt of an appeal reference number 2021/00286474 in the New South Wales Land Environment Court against the refusal of the development application number 8/2021/21939/1. B, the attached prospects of success prepared by council solicitors in respect to, of the appeal, reference number 2021/00286474, relating to development application number 8/2021/21939/1, and 2, that council delegates the management of the appeal, reference number 2021/00286474, relating to development application number 8/2021/21939/1 to the General Manager, including to defend the appeal and, if appropriate, enter into consent orders or a Section 34 agreement. Okay, we'll now move on to Merrill minutes. No Merrill minutes and any motions of urgency? No motions of urgency. We'll now move on to report number PE 35/2023. Moving that way, Councillor Hill, seconded Councillor Burke. Speaking on that, Councillor Olsen.
Yeah, I have a question first, Mayor. In the repeal plans, we have Bellbird North Plan 3.7 million. Is that allocated for Warrnambool Road?
The Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My understanding is not all of it. Some of it certainly will be.
Some of it, and then further down in planning agreements, there's another one there from Bellbird Heights Planning Agreement, 1.3 million. Is that again part of the funding?
Yes, correct.
So, say approximately $5 million there. Percentage of that, say, probably third, half maybe?
Yeah, somewhere.
Would be for Warrnambool Road. So that's $2.5 million we've got for Warrnambool Road, and we need 17 million. So that's $15 million, approximately $15 million short of what we need. So under the plans we've got there now, from all the information we've been given and all the statements being made about Warrnambool Road over the last couple of months.
Is this a question, or is this more now into?
I'm making a statement now.
Statement now. Yep.
Yeah, it's what it's saying there is, and what it's showing in this money we have here, that we're approximately going to need $14 to $15 million if it comes in on budget. If we did go ahead with Warrnambool Road, that we'll have to borrow or take out of our budget somewhere and pay back until we get all our contributions in from the developer. So that puts more stress on this council's financial position. Financial implications will be greatly put pressure on our able to borrow money. And I think we as a council really need to start thinking about, is Warrnambool Road such a big priority if it's going to put this council in a financial position where it can't afford to do any other roads?
Councillor Watton.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions with regards to this report. So from page 79 in the agenda, it states, in relation to planning agreements, Huntly accounts for approximately 53% of all contributions collected. Many of the works within the Huntly planning agreement have triggers in accordance with the dwelling and lot delivery. So with regards to Huntley Community Hub going ahead, it's required to have, for Huntley to reach 2,200 lots and dwellings. So the first question with regards to that is, how far off are we from hitting that 2,200 dwelling or lots?
Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll just refer that on to the Strategic Planning Manager. He's got the answers to those couple of questions.
Yeah.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor. The released lots at the moment is in the order of about 1,499. So that means there's still 701 lots before we reach the 2,200 lot threshold.
Okay, thank you. So just with regards to the community hub, is there any financial contributions expected from council?
Through you, Mr Mayor, no, there is no financial cost to council other than ongoing maintenance. The cost of the land and the cost of the building, including construction, is borne by the developer because the need for it is all generated through the population of Huntley.
Okay, rightio. Just one more thing. With regards to, so from page 81, it talks about the council's contribution steering group in accord and financial services team. Could I just get a bit of a comment on who is actually involved with that council contribution steering group, and what necessarily their powers of decision making is?
Yep.
Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, these are operational teams within council. They're made up of people from various parts across the organisation. They're really sort of making sure that council's decisions in relation to its development contribution policies are put into effect. So they do the housekeeping around making sure that the right dollar number of contribution is collected per lot, depending on where that lot is. They're in different contribution areas. So it's making sure the money is paid before the lots are signed off and given titles. It's also doing things like when perhaps a project team, particularly in works and infrastructure, are getting to the final detailed costings of a particular project, they may request from the contribution steering group, can you tell us exactly how much in dollars is available from development contributions for this project? And that's then factored in, and then they know how much they need to either loan or top up from a grant or something like that. It's all the bookkeeping and accounting around the contributions program, including putting together the very report that you're looking at now. So yeah, it's an operational side of the council that is putting into effect your decisions around development contributions.
Okay, thank you. So just one more thing. So just with regards to this, so if someone, say community members in the LGA, particularly around the Huntley, so that particular area of things, or area of the LGA, should I say, they're requesting some things like a basketball court, or so how does council come into play with working with this team? So that's a question I've been asked by the community.
Sure. So the community wouldn't have any direct involvement with the team. What they would do is they would probably talk to people like yourselves, say we want a new basketball court. That might then be put up as a notice of motion, or probably more likely when the operational plan has been put together, council will decide, yep, that's a good idea, we're gonna do that. They'll put it in the operational plan. They'll put a rough order costing against that. We will then, from the development contributions point of view, go, okay, is this in an area that's subject to growth where new lots have been created? If so, there's an opportunity to take a contribution from those lots for that new asset, in this case a basketball court, and that will be included in the development contributions plan. So moving forward, new lots that are created in that catchment will be paying the growth portion of the cost of that asset towards that asset. The bulk of it will be paid for, depending on the catchment, will be paid for by the existing residents. So in a simple example, if the catchment had 50% existing residents and there was going to be 50% new lots, ratepayers would end up paying 50% of the cost of that new asset, and the developer would end up paying the other 50% through contributions on each lot they create.
Right, okay. No, thank you very much.
No further comments?
No, not from me.
Councillor Jerd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this report says, in light of the increased cost to providing infrastructure and concerns from councillors over the total cost of infrastructure to be delivered in the City Local Infrastructure Contributions Plan, the strategic planning team is undertaking a full review of the plan. It is anticipated that this review will be completed by June 2024. Now, these concerns that are raised are not new concerns. I just want to know why this report will take till June next year. Why are we waiting? Why do we have to wait that long? I'm just concerned that we'll be in a worse state than I believe we are now. Is there a way this report, if it's what's needed to happen to address our concerns, could be completed this year? I also just want to quickly touch on the contributions. I wish we could have a breakdown, basically, so when we do the operational plan, it would make total much more sense to me, in particular, if we had a list of, like, say, oh, we've got $1 million for the pool, we've got $2 million for a skate park, we've got, $500,000 for the netball courts. And if we knew that, when we go to do our operational plan, for example, we could actually achieve a lot more. So I just would like us to look into that as well, onto the way it's sort of presented, because I think we could be getting a lot more for our dollar if we actually had a really good breakdown of the contributions. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Grine. Well, I think, was that a question or that was a statement of... So I think we're sort of referring to the manager. You picked up the question at the start.
I've got the questions. So the second point, we work very closely with asset owners when we're developing our annual budgets and operational plan and capital works budgets for the next year. That comes to council, but I take on board your comments, and if we can improve the process, particularly in consultation with councillors, we'll do that at the next round of preparing budgets and capital works. The first question, that date is the end date for the finalisation of it. We are very well advanced in doing the comparative analysis that we needed to do. We've recently gone out to get a QS, which is a quality survey of costs, so we can look at the costs before we come back to council and brief council on what options are available. So that may happen before Christmas, depending on what council says they would like to go and how they would like to go forward. Then that would be incorporated into a revised plan, come back to council for them to endorse to go on exhibition and then forward. So that whole process is anticipated to be completed by June next year.
Okay. And so you don't have any more questions? Councillor Grine.
Thank you, Mayor Savelle. In regards to Huntley, is there any developments for basketball courts at all in the future for Huntley?
The manager.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, there is proposals for district sporting facilities. The detail of what is provided at those district sporting facilities would be negotiated between our open space and rec section and contributions and the developer, and when the demand for it is required. So until that point is reached, there's been no detailed planning of what would be provided, but if that's something that is needed through our open space and rec section, that would be provided or negotiated.
Yeah.
Thank you. So in regards to those open spaces, for example, in Huntley, with sporting fields and basketball courts as such, we're bringing in such big developer contributions for that catchment. Would most of that money then be filtered into those sort of projects in the future?
Through you,
Manager.
Mr. Mayor. through you, Mr Mayor, the contributions at Huntley are gathered through a planning agreement, and the planning agreement sets out specifically what Huntley will provide and when it will provide it in terms of both local, district and regional open space. Until they meet that milestone of required delivery, it's unknown what's going to be provided on each piece of open space. But that's a matter for negotiation when they're planning for that piece of open space.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you've already spoken,
Oh,
Councillor Watton, have you?
yeah, I have.
You have? You
One more
don't-
question?
You can have a question.
Yeah.
And then,
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just with regards to funds that may be available through various planning agreements, so Huntley, for example, I'm assuming it's in every individual planning agreement, but the area or scope with which funds could be used. So say Ward C, for example, there's no way that we could stretch it to Western. You know what I mean? There's no way we could stretch it. So Branxton, because we're looking at like a totally different suburb, essentially. Like we're looking at like a town, which is North Rothbury, but it encompasses Branxton. This is making sense, what I'm trying to say
Yeah.
here.
so,
Just trying to articulate the scope.
Director.
Yes, through you, Mr Mayor, no, the catchments are set geographically, so money is collected from that catchment, spent in that catchment. So no, you can't sort of trade between them. That's why having a district-wide catchment is very useful, because you can then, apply it anywhere in the district, but usually with things like, specific developments like Huntley and Bellbird, obviously the developer would like to see their funds spent in their area and not elsewhere. Yep. And those are generally voluntary planning agreements, so you're sort of a bit at the behest of the developer in terms of what can be negotiated. But certainly, yeah, the wider or larger you can make a catchment, the more flexibility council has.
Yeah, thank you. Just trying to ask those questions on behalf of Abermain and Western folk. So, yeah, thank you.
In closing, Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Mayor Saval. Just in closing and somewhat in follow-up from Councillor Olsen's query in regards to the repealed Bellbird North and Bellbird Heights planning agreements, if for some clarity, could the director clear up how many lots have currently had money collected from them out in Bellbird? Is it sort of reaching the 400-ish mark or so at the moment?
Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I think there was a recent memo to council. I think it was about 420. Yeah. 420 had been developed out of potential 3,500.
So in reference previous to those numbers, the about 5 million or so in total between those two, the planning agreement and the Bellbird North plan, if we estimate that approximately half of that may be able to be contributed to Wallumbye Road, that would mean that we'd be looking, with the 400 lots currently released, we've gotten about 2.5 million at the point of the 3,000 or so, I think. Is that about right for the total lots? That would put us close to 18 to $20 million in total contributions, and just sort of if we're playing that 50% number for Wallumbye Road, which would seem to cover a bit over the $17 million that we have apportioned to that. And I think there's a benefit as well to be considered for spending that money now, where the money will go, realistically, the money will go further sooner rather than later.
What I said in my statement was we have to get the money before we sell the land, and this land could take another 20 years, so we've got to pay that money off before we get we've got to be paying for it.
It's not.
We're not going to have the money now. We're going to put ourselves in a financial position.
Not a point of order, but a point of order is regarding the rules of debate or the code of meeting practice, not just disagreeing with what someone said. So I've already ruled on that. I've said you haven't outlined where Councillor Hill has outlined anything wrong in the rules of debate. He's making a statement. He's making a statement. I've made the decision, Councillor. Councillor Olsen, I can go to the points of order in the the thing. Yep. So under clause 15.1, it says a councillor may draw the attention to the chairperson of alleged breach of this code by raising a point of order. A point of order does not require a seconder. So you haven't raised a breach of the code of meeting practice. You've just said you disagreed with what you've disagreed with what he said. So anyway, we've moved on. Councillor Hill has the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Savelle. Perhaps in follow-up, then, an additional question to the director in the way in which that council will be capable of spending this money, the apportioned contributions from these developments. Is council able
Councillor Olsen, Councillor Hill has the floor.
Point of order, Mayor. Closing debate is closing debate, not asking questions. That's getting further information that we have not had. Closing debate is closed debate.
Thank you,
Councillor
Mr.
Hill
Al.
has the floor.
If the director could simply clarify in closing, I will finish up my.
We're closing the debate. We can't get
He's
more
in-
information off the director now. Get the general manager to
Councillor Hill hasn't spoken on this. He reserved his right to speak when he reserved his right when he moved the motion. So Councillor Hill has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Val. To finally clarify, in response to my previous comment that we will be able to collect more than what we would need to then spend on this project, is council able to internally borrow from existing contributions currently and then pay itself back as we collect these over time?
So
Thank you,
if
Director.
just go.
Sorry, through you, Mr Mayor, yes.
Thank you, Director. That was all.
Okay, debate has now closed. Councillor Olsen.
Can the director please tell us how long it will take us to get this $18 million?
Through Mr Mayor, no, I can't. It depends on how quickly the lots are released and sold.
So 400 blocks sold in 15 years. So in another 15 years, we've sold maybe another 4.
Now debating in our, yeah, and the directors provided that. So we now move to a vote on the item. All those in favour? Councillors Moore is unanimous. Moving on to report CC 63, 2023. Moving that way, Councillor Hill, seconded Councillor Burke. No debate. Put the item. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Moving on to report WI 33, sorry, CC 68, 2023. Moving that way, Councillor Hill, seconded Councillor Sander. Speaking, Councillor Olsen.
Just a couple of questions first of the General Manager. The first one would be the Regional Procurement Panel. Is that part of the Hunter Joint Councils?
Do you want? Director.
I'm asking General Manager.
The General Manager is entitled to defer to any of them.
Not answer, okay.
Thank you. Yes, it is, Councillor Olsen.
Sorry, what was that?
Yes, it is.
It is. So now I want to ask the General Manager another question. How do you think that you can get cheaper products than the Hunter Regional Council?
General Manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the reason this tender is being actioned in this way is that most of the tenderers can't supply product under the conditions that we've asked them to supply. Road base, and particularly, is very, very difficult to get at present. No one wants to give you a price on it because it's simply it's too much in demand, and they can get whatever they can get for it. Negotiations occur on an as-needs basis on whoever's got product at the particular time, which is the only way you can do it. As to whether the Hunter Joint Organisation gets the best value through its procurement panel is a completely different matter and debatable. And a lot of councils refuse to use them because they can all negotiate better prices than what the Hunter JO does.
So it says here you're going to enter into a contract. So you're saying you're not going to enter into a contract, you're going to go to suppliers at each time you need it.
Pretty much that's exactly what occurs.
So this motion's wrong.
No,
It's wrong. It says we're going to enter into a contract with the required materials.
we enter into contract with every purchase of equipment or road base that we do for each particular job.
So that's what you want to do. So for every job we do, we're going to go out and going to get a price. I just want to get this clarified. So we're going to get a price for every time we go out to get some material and have a new contract every time we get it.
You enter into an agreement to purchase a product, which is a contract, every time you buy something. When you go to the supermarket and buy a pound of butter, you're entering into a contract with that supplier.
I understand that, but what the regional procurement done was come back with a tender of price for material, which they offered it to us, which was for a tender, so we have to sign a contract and we'll get it for that price that's been in the contract. Here, you're saying we're going to go job by job.
If I can...
No,
take this,
Mayor, I'm asking the General Manager. You cannot answer for the General Manager. You cannot answer.
I'm not answering for the General Manager.
I've asked the General Manager a question.
to-
I do not want you to answer for the General
I'm
Manager.
not answering for the General
Well,
Manager.
you don't need to say a thing.
Councillor Olsen, I'm not answering for the General Manager. What I'm doing is referring to the report. And the report clearly outlines that the material that we need to buy was not available for us to purchase through the tender process, which is why it's recommended that the tender be refused. The report also says that negotiate with any person who was a tenderer or viewed to enter into contract to buy required materials, which outlines that we could purchase for a contract or outline things. This is clearly in the report. You could go through the report and have those answered.
I'm not asking you.
I'm asking the
General Manager to explain how he's going to get us.
Councillor Olsen,
I'm not asking you. I'm asking the General
and
Manager.
I am...
He's paid $380,000 a year to do a job. Let him
Councillor Olsen, you don't have the floor. I have the floor, and I'll refer you back to the Code of Meeting Practice, which outlines that questions should be put to staff or councillors are entitled to be given reasonable notice for these questions, and it is not a debate. You're not here to debate the general manager about the process. If you wanted the answers to these questions, they should have been put in advance as outlined under the Code of Meeting Practice.
Right, I'm not asking you a thing. I'm asking the General Manager.
And I said I wasn't...
So you're not going to let the General Manager answer?
The General Manager's already answered.
He hasn't answered the question I've asked.
So, Councillor Olsen, are you going to continue on a different...
Okay, I want this recommendation to be changed from what it is there to negotiate with any person, whether or not person was a tenderer, for every job we do. Because we're not going into a contract with any company at all. But if we are going to go into with one company, I would like a report to come back to council saying, before we sign any contract, to show what money the General Manager is saving us. Or is he saving us money or not? I need to know that what he's done is the right thing and not taking this contract here. Why are we a member of the Hunter Regional Council spending, I think, $50,000 a year? Why do we pay them money if we can't use their procurement tenders? I just don't understand it, why we've got to keep delegating everything to the General Manager, and then when I ask him a question, you're not going to let him answer it. You're going to defend him all the time. He gets paid to do a job, and if I ask a question, I think if he can't take it, if he doesn't know the answer, give it on notice. And at the next meeting, I'll get the answer. So now I still want to know how he's going to get the road base cheaper. And he hasn't answered how he's going to get it cheaper. He's just going to say, I'm going to go out and talk to people when we need it. So this motion is wrong, and there's no accountability to this council on how the general manager is going to save us money.
No further debate. We'll put the item. All those in favour? It's councillors Moores, Burke, Grind, Sander, Hill, Hawkins, Painter, Watton and Savale. Those against? Councillor Olsen, Councillor Jerd. I'll declare it carried. Now move on to report WI 33, 2023. Moving that way, Councillor Hill, seconded Councillor Grind. Speaking, Councillor Jerd.
Oh, thank you, Mr Mayor. I just want to ask, because I put this into council, my question before tonight, and I haven't got a response yet, to ask how much this, the report will cost us.
Director.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and thanks, Councillor Jerd. It is actually in the report. It's $25,000 to $30,000 for the study itself.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you real good. What did you say?
It's $25,000 to $30,000 estimated for the study itself.
Okay,
So gathering the data and information, putting the report together.
thank you.
Councillor Olsen.
Yeah, I look, this has gone bigger than Ben-Hur, really. All I was after was a memorial walk from Neath to Cessnock to remember the coal miners. A few coal miners come and spoke to me one day about this issue. And they don't want it going down Duffy's Drive. They want it down the main road so people can remember what our heritage is all about. I certainly hope that pathway, shared pathway, on both sides of the road would be great, with plaques and memory of those that have lost their lives in the coal mining industry in the Hunter. And it is our heritage. It is where we come from. Coal come first, wines come second, and now we got no coal and we've just got wine. But we still have to remember where we come from. So I certainly hope that the staff remember that it's Maitland Road we want it on, not Duffy's Drive, and we do get this in the next operational plan.
Councillor Moores.
Thank you, Mayor. This has to go ahead, and it is the heritage of the town. I agree with Councillor Olsen, but this could be very, very attractive as you're driving into town. So the wider the path, the better. There's nothing to say that once a year there could be a miners' walk along there, a memorial walk. There could be future statues along there. Bob Brown, which was J&A Brown when mines first started in the early days in this town. So that could be the entrance to the town, pretty similar to when you're in Muswellbrook. When you're coming back from Muswellbrook, you can see all the different army barracks there and how many people was killed there. And also it does pass Aberdeen North Colliery, which is on the left-hand side as you're leaving the town. Thank you.
Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Val. Just in closing, I would like to just make reference, the recommendation itself doesn't mention it specifically. The report does note that the point 4 from the notice of motion from Councillor Olsen, I think, which I helped to amend, mentions that Council will consider consultation with both the Sir Edgeworth David Memorial Museum and the Mining and Energy Union. I'd just like to once again make comment and reference to the fantastic historical significance and work that the Sir Edgeworth David Memorial Museum does, and I think that it's important that they're included in the cultural research under this plan.
Thank you. No further debate. We'll put the item. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Report WI 34, 2023, minutes of the local traffic committee. Just wait. I was just waiting for Councillor Burke to leave. So moved Councillor Hawkins, seconded Councillor Sander. No debate. We'll put the item. All those in favour? It's unanimous. And we'll now go to councillor reports. I would just like to make note that tonight's the last council meeting for our Director of Planning and Environment, Peter Mickelson, and I wish to thank him on behalf of of council and the residents to his commitment to our area and his support of me, and wish him all the best in his future endeavours. No further debate. I'll